Okay, so let's start the muscle system. This is a really interesting chapter. We're going to be doing a lot of work here, so we'll get started. All right. So major functions of the muscle system. First of all, um, it's essential for muscles are essential for the activities of living. Okay, they allow us to move from place to place. They keep our essential organs moving and our body processes moving. Um, you know, if your heart muscle doesn't work, there's everything else. You die. It's central to our survival. Um, Half of our weight comes from muscles. There's 656 skeletal muscles. Um, of all of those muscles, 327 are antagonistic muscle pairs. So you'll see that a lot. Two are unpaired, which would be the diaphragm and the orbicularis oris. And 656 are divided and subdivided into regions. Um, These muscles are vital for our survival. So they determine our body movement. And there's three different kinds of muscle that do that. There's skeletal muscle, which is voluntary, and cardiac and smooth muscle, which are involuntary. When I'm talking about voluntary and our involuntary, I'm talking about we can move muscles using our conscience. If I want to get up and walk across the room, I can do that. But cardiac and smooth muscle, I don't have to sit here and tell my intestines to move, and I don't have to sit here and tell my heart to beat every second. It just happens naturally. It's an autonomic part of the autonomic nervous system. Um, it gives our body form and shape to maintain posture. Otherwise, we would look like skeletons. So, if you've ever seen somebody who has been starving or who is has muscle wasting, they can look like a skeleton, and that's because they have lost their muscle mass. They are protection against internal organs. For example, if you tense your muscles when you're hit with something, it protects your internal organs. If somebody goes to hit you in the stomach, you can tense your muscle and it prevents that from injuring your internal organs. It also surrounds your bones and cushions them. Imagine if we had no muscle and we fell down all the time, we would be breaking our bones. So they also can cushion and protect the skeleton. And circulation. Cardiac muscle is responsible for pumping blood, and smooth muscle helps blood move through the body. It contracts, it's smooth muscle, and it contracts to squeeze blood, and it expands to allow blood through. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the structure of the muscles. So we're gonna go from big to small. Okay, so muscles are made up of fascicles, and fascicles are made up of fibers. Fibers are made up of myofibrils, and myofibrils are made up of many sarcomeres. So if we go little to big, you have these little sarcomeres, and they join together in a chain, and they form the myofibril. And the myofibrils are considered uh, they are considered organelles of muscle fibers. Muscle fibers are filled with myofibrils, and then those muscle fibers are all bound together and they form a fascicle, and then those fascicles are bound together, and that's what makes up the muscle. The epimysium surrounds the muscle, the perimysium surrounds the fascicles, and the endomysium surrounds the individual muscle fiber. So let me show you a picture of it. There we go. You can see this little tiny muscle fiber. Okay, that's a cell, and it's filled with myofibrils, which are considered organelles. Those are all that. So this muscle fiber is wrapped in endomysium, and then those are all grouped together and wrapped in perimysium, and that's considered a fascicle. And then those fascicles are all wrapped together by the epimysium, and that's what makes up the muscle. Now, the part you can't see on here is that there's also fascia, which covers the whole thing. And that's separate from the epimysium. It is a very strong connective tissue. I think I talked to you guys a little bit about it when we went over vocab words, about how if you have muscle swelling, sometimes you have to cut that fascia so that the swelling doesn't cut off the circulation in your muscle. All right, let's look at another picture. Okay, this is the associated parts. So muscle fibers have myofibrils; those are organelles. They have other organelles just like every other cell, right? It has to have ribosomes. It has to have for energy, and it has to have DNA. But the outside of a muscle fiber is called the sarcolemma. That's what the cell membrane is called, a sarcolemma. And instead of just cytoplasm on the inside, there's sarcoplasm. Okay. So don't confuse sarcolemma with endomysium. Okay. It is different. Endomysium is a connective tissue around the cell, whereas sarcolemma is the actual cell membrane. Okay. Okay, and you can see here that they pull out a myofibril, and down at the bottom you can see the sarcomeres. Sarcomeres are smaller parts that are kind of connected by these discs. They call them Z discs, and there's inside those sarcomeres are the actin and myosin, and those are the chains of protein that contract the muscle. Okay, so it's actin and myosin, and those are what contract, those are what move to contract the muscle. So you have all those little sarcomeres with the actin and myosin, and that is inside of the myofibril. That's what makes up the. I'm sorry, that's what makes up the myofibril, and then the myofibrils are inside the muscle fiber, and that's what a muscle cell is. It's a muscle fiber. Okay. I think we're going to stop there for this one. And because I'm going to come back with types of muscle and characteristics of muscle. Okay.